handing your competition clients or leads is actually a good thing.
If you can confidently answer those questions, you will close your sale.
Hope is not a strategy in sales. You need to actually ask for the sale. So what you're going to do is you're going to investment options.
What happens if you get halfway through a sales call and you realize that actually they're not the right person?
If you're just giving out free calls on a Instagram story, then you're probably just going to get every Dick and Harry that just wants to have a call. Welcome to the Success School podcast. We are on episode 36. Welcome, Steph. How are you feeling?
I love today's topic. I could talk about this topic all day, probably for the rest of my life. Tim and I were recently talking about our passions, and I think that this might be my passion. It's around sales today, to give you an insight, and I think that I am most passionate about sales. What are you most passionate about?
Well, actually, I'm most passionate about looking swole and looking jacked. So my lesson of the week is I've been eating a lot of meat lately, and sometimes I wake up and look in the mirror, and this morning I was like, damn boy, putting on some size. And we were in the movies the other day watching June 2. Trust me, this has a point. And I asked Steph, we saw a friend of mine, actually an old friend, and he's pretty jacked. And I said to Steph, I leaned over and I go, am I bigger than Dane? And she just lost it laughing. And I didn't know if it was a good laugh or a bad laugh.
We're in the middle of the bloody movie and Tim's like, Steph. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, am I bigger than him? I was like, oh my God, seriously?
So Steph, in all honesty, am I bigger than him?
You're different shapes.
So my lesson of the week, guys, is if you want to build some muscle, you got to eat that meat. Okay, so the RDA, or the Recommended Dietary Associations, minimums have changed. Okay, so there used to be 0.8 grams of protein per kg of muscle mass. It's now gone up to 1.2. So it's nearly increased by 50%. If you're training, it's up to 1.6. So I've been hitting those numbers. All right, I'm not hitting rookie.
How many grams of protein are you eating at the moment?
220 a day. I do not hit rookie numbers. So if you're serious about building muscle, get off those rookie numbers. Eat that protein. Steph, what's your lesson of the week?
What's my protein macro?
Yeah.
130 grams, just in case you were wondering. My lesson of the week is around marketing. I've been reading a book by Seth Godin, and it is All Marketers Tell Stories. Now, he had a book that was called All Marketers Are Liars, but he's recently written another one that's All Marketers Tell Stories. And what I've reminded myself, or I probably really learned from it, was the difference between marketing and advertising. And I think that it's very relevant going into today's topic, but also something that every single person here should hear is that marketing is really around, sharing ideas and sharing thoughts, and people choosing to buy into those thoughts and telling stories that people see themselves in. And marketing is really a process of getting people to see your way of thinking and to see your view of the world. Advertising is selling your stuff. Okay. And I think that a lot of people confuse marketing and advertising. Marketing is telling stories, advertising is selling your stuff. And I think a lot of people think that they're marketing, but really they're advertising. And if you just advertise to your audience 24/7 without telling any stories, and there are so many stories you can tell. There are stories you can tell stories about your clients, you can tell stories about yourself, you can tell stories about your parents, you can tell stories about the world and something that's going on right now and something that's happening in the news. There are so many stories you can tell. But throughout history, humans have always told stories, right from before we could even speak in language. We drew stories, and we've forgotten the art of storytelling because we're also hell-bent on making money, that we've forgotten how to actually connect human to human. And so this was my lesson of the week. My reminder of the week was like, if you want to do marketing, really tell stories, and people are going to buy into those stories. People are going to want to be part of those stories. People are going to see themselves in those stories. And that's what's going to make them click through on your advertising, which is when you actually make the offers.
So I'm going to tell you a story about a story. So one of our clients in Success School, she does cleaning for, is it ovens?
Yes.
Okay, over East.
Yeah.
And she logged on a group call one day and she said, how do I cut through the noise in my market? And I told her to write stories in email and send it to her email list. And she was like, you're off your head.
No one wants stories about oven cleaning.
No one wants stories about oven cleaning. No one wants stories about this. And I said, write stories about yourself and the jobs you've been on and clients you've worked with and, what you found, etc. So she took my advice, she did it and got fully booked in like 2 weeks.
And let me tell you, literally 2 weeks. I actually remember voice dropping her right before she joined, and we had like a backwards and forwards for like an hour because she was so scared to join because they just did not have the money. Like they really did not have the money. And she was like, I need to be able to make like 10 sales in the first couple of weeks, Steph. And I had a chat with her about what she was currently doing for marketing. There was a lot of stuff she wasn't doing, so I knew we could help. Within a couple of weeks being in the program, they were fully booked just from telling stories. Guys, I cannot implore with you enough how important telling stories is in your business.
There's also a lesson in that, guys. Take the damn plunge. If you're on the fence, take the plunge because that's how you know and you will get results.
Yeah, sometimes when you remove the safety net, that's the best time. Like I remember right before I, quit my job to work in my first business, Tim kept saying to me, the reason that you aren't taking enough action in your business, like I was hyper aware of it. I was like, why am I not doing more stuff? Tim was like, because you're comfortable. The minute I quit my day job and I had no safety net anymore, I took all of the action because I had to make it work. So sometimes we just need to remove the safety net.
Steph, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about how to sell with confidence. We put it as Grant Cardone, but honestly, whoever that you look up to, we think Grant Cardone is one of the world's best salespeople, but it could be anyone in the world. Who's the guy that's off of Wolf of Wall Street? Jordan Belfort?
Yep.
Could be. So you could sell like anyone. I'm sure there's plenty of Sabrina Phillips, Oprah. I'm sure there's plenty of people who sell heaps of stuff all the time, whoever you want to sell by, but how to sell with confidence like Grant Cardone. After 15 years in business between myself and Tim, over 4,500 sales calls. I actually ran the numbers on that based on how many like sales we make a year and how many sales calls we've been on for the last few years. All the sales consults, all the pre-qualification calls from getting hung up on to stuttering our words out to closing $20,000 sales in 10 minutes on phone calls. We know a thing or two about selling. And today we want to share with you the 5 tips to becoming better at sales so that you can sell with confidence like Grant Cardone. But before we get into today's topic, let me be clear. 50% of sales comes down to confidence, okay? You could literally just get on the call and just be confident and you are halfway there, all right? But the other 50% is about answering the silent, unasked question from your prospect, which is this right for me or will this work for me? That's not what they're asking you. They're going to say they have money stuff. They're going to say they have to talk to their husband. They're going to say they're not sure if they can fit the time in. The question they are really asking you, but not asking you out loud, is this right for me? Will this work for me? And if you can confidently answer those questions, you will close your sale. So Tim, kick us off. What do we need to do for these 5 tips?
So after 4,500 sales calls, we are officially sales warlords, okay? So we are warlords of the sales realm. Not saying we are 10 out of 10 salespeople.
No.
But we know some shit.
We know some shit.
Okay, we're going to teach you some shit now. The first one is be prepared for your calls. This sounds so rudimentary and simple, but I can't even tell you the amount of times our clients have messed this up, okay? So being prepared for your calls is like getting in the headspace, looking the part, doing like a breathwork meditation or something before that, watching some YouTube videos on sales motivation, literally preparing yourself for Zoom, making sure your microphone's on, making sure your phone is hot. Everything needs to be prepared for your call, okay? Because if you go into that thing with a flustered energy, or you go in with an energy like I can't be bothered, or I'm feeling weird, or my money mindset's off, they will feel that through the call. So Steph said 50% of a sales call or getting a successful sale is in the preparation or being confident. This is where this counts. If you look good, you'll feel good. If you feel good, you're going to talk well. If you talk well, you're going to be confident and you're going to make the damn sale. So be prepared for your sales calls.
We're actually going to link down the bottom one of our favorite sales motivation videos, which we send to, it's like 8 minutes long. We send it to our salespeople that are in our programs that have always worked for us, even in Helix. And it is the best. It's by Dan Locke. And it is the best. It's like, if you hesitate, they will know and you will lose the sale. It sounds way better than that. So please go and listen to it.
So Steph, what kind of info should we be collecting before we get on a sales call from potential prospects?
Okay, so the things that you most need to know, like it's going to depend for every business, but I'll tell you what we get. We need to know what stage of business you're at. So are you a beginner? Are you, just like getting it up and running? Are you scaling? Are you fully booked? Like, where are you at? Because that's going to change, if we, 1, know that we can help you, and 2, it's going to change the things that we tell you about our program. 2, do you actually have the income to be able to join this program? You're wasting your time, you're wasting our time, you're wasting everyone's time if you're not at the stage where you're ready to invest. We're never going to sell you something that you can't afford, or that we don't think that we can help you. So if you, we need to know if you can afford it. And I would highly recommend having this on your pre-qualification calls as well. Something else that you absolutely need to know is like, what are they struggling with? Like, why, like for us, what problems are you facing right now? And what is the goal that you want to achieve? If we can go into the sales call knowing that you can afford it, that you're willing to put the time into it, that you have what your goal is, what your problems are, that means that we can prep for your call. We also get all the information about their business, their website, their Instagram handles, all of those sorts of things, how much money they're currently earning, so that we have an idea of exactly how we might be able to help them. And we often give a little bit of strategy on our sales calls as well, so that they know that we're the real deal. So for us, like, they're the things that we take to be prepared. What else would you add?
I think that's most of it there, but maybe just a little pre-qualification about, are you ready to take action on this? And you could give a rating of 1 to 10, 1 being like no, and 10 being like, yeah, I'm ready to go busting down the door to get involved and get this started, because you only want people that are motivated. So if you think about like a pre-qualification that we're talking about here, the more steps you put in front of them, or the more things they have to do, the more motivated you'll get. You'll get less volume, but you'll get higher quality people and more motivated people. Okay, so if you're just giving out free calls on a on an Instagram story, then you're probably just going to get every Dick and Harry that just wants to have a call. Steph, I know that you weren't always a great salesperson, and I know that sometimes you weren't prepared. So you might have a little bit of a funny story here about yourself and maybe some energy that you showed up with.
Yeah. So I think for me, like, there have definitely been times where I have not been prepared for calls, where I've been doing whatever beforehand, or rushing off a group call and having to get onto a sales call, or rushing from one sales call to the next, and I haven't done my prep work. And there have been plenty of times where I've called people the wrong name, where
Are you serious?
I've done that.
Oh.
I've done that multiple times. Where they've told me at the very beginning that they're from Sydney, and then by the end of it, I'm like, oh, you're in Adelaide, right? Like, just obviously not listening, right? Like, because I'm flustered, because I'm not prepped, because I haven't gotten the headspace. Like, that stuff breaks rapport, guys. Like, I'm definitely not proud about it, but 4,500 calls, like, you're going to make some bombs, you're going to make some mistakes. There have been times where I haven't been able to find, my sales structure, so I've just winged it. I winged it, and that's no good either, because then you don't get the key points across. And, then what I do, if that's the case, is I end up coaching and giving way too much value. So they get off the call, they're like, thanks for the free sesh. I don't need your program anymore because you just helped me so much. So there have been plenty of times that I have made tons of mistakes. Tim, I actually remember listening to one of your first sales calls, because when we first got together, I
was doing them.
You only just started doing them. Like, your coach at the time had said, like, here's the script, you should run this. And Tim was just not the man he is today. And it was so sweet. I remember hearing him do it, and he had the script like literally printed out in front of him. Like, he was holding the paper.
I can literally memorize it word for word.
Yeah, on this phone call, he's holding this piece of paper, and he's shaking, and his voice is shaking, and he's stuttering, and he gets through it, and he's bright red, and he's like, that was so awful. But he signed up, and because he appreciated the effort, And so I think, like, guys, it's not easy to begin with. It'll be really, really clear. But the more prepped you are when you go into it, please listen to the Dan Locke YouTube as well. But the more prepped you are going into it, the easier it is going to be for you to land that sale.
I've got a little funny story about breaking rapport and how I didn't get a sale. So in fitness, sometimes we do like a body scan before we start, and we'll review a prospect's body scan of, their weight, their body fat percentage, their muscle mass, etc. And I remember sitting there across from a guy, and I looked at his weight, and he goes like, how's my weight? And I was like, yeah, you're pretty overweight, bro. And this was like in the first couple of minutes that I met, and he was pissed like at that. But like, what did he want me to say? Yeah. Like, he was clearly not with it.
Yeah. Like, and I think, that is your coaching style, and you are honest. So like,
He asked.
Yeah. I mean, he was there for a reason. Like, he obviously knew that, but didn't like being told. So that's interesting.
Steph, what have you got for number 2? So this is all around proper preparation prevents piss poor performance.
Yeah.
7 Ps.
So the first thing is, like, get into the headspace. That's prepare. The next part is follow the damn structure. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how many times we have reviewed client sales calls that we've given a perfect structure. We've reviewed their structure multiple times. We've absolutely dotted the T's, crossed the I's, and then they just go off plan. Our own sales calls have done this. Like,
I've done this.
I have done this. Yeah. And so, guys, the structure matters. Sales is a psychological process. It's a psychological and it's an emotional process for most people, okay? Depending on what you're selling. Like, if you are a corporate and you sell to other big corporates, it's probably not an emotional or psychological process. It's probably pretty logistical at some level, right? But if you are, especially if you're selling B2C, so to consumers, if you're selling to small business owners, if you're selling to individuals that, that are they're going to be making a big scary investment for themselves, like you have to follow a structure, okay? Do not allow yourself to freak out on calls. The number one reason why following the structure is so important is because if you don't, what is going to happen is you are at some point going to be like, oh my God, fuck, where am I up to? What am I supposed to say next? In your head. That's going to break rapport because you're going to start going, let me just check, and you do this thing where you look like you don't know what you're doing because you don't know what you're doing. And that's no good for your sales call. You are supposed to be in control. You are supposed to be, cool, calm, collected. And so like following a structure, having a structure in front of you is the most powerful thing. We actually give our exact sales structure to our clients for them to follow. Obviously they edit it, they, adapt it. We give feedback on it. We make sure it's a heck yes. I remember even Bianca, who joined our program, went from having no sales structure to like now she closes like 99% of her calls, like literally closes pretty much all of them, which has actually become problematic for her because she's got too many clients. And so, following the structure is so important. The structure must ask them these questions. What they want, so what is their goal? What is the problem? Why isn't it working? So, why aren't you at your goal yet? And then last but not least, what have you tried? Okay. You must get that information first. Once you know this, you can actually answer the question, is this program right for me? So if we don't know what our client's goal is, if we don't know what their problem is, if we don't know why they can't get there and what they've tried before, and then we start trying to pitch a program, we can't really answer if it's right for them because we don't actually know if it's right for them. We don't know if it's actually going to solve their problems. So if you're going in and you're like, hey man, yeah, I can't wait to chat to you today about what I have to offer, and then you just go into the offer, the question that they're asking, if I go back to the very beginning, is this right for me? And will this solve my problems? Well, you have to know what those problems are first. You have to know where they want to go, and then you can answer that question. Tim, what happens if you get halfway through a sales call and you realize that actually they're not the right person? Like, you can't actually help them.
So I will answer this, but a way you can just stop this from happening is pre-qualify them before they get on the call.
Correct.
So in Success School, we ask them, are they a coach? Are they a service-based business? What is their goals? What are they struggling with? Can they afford it? Usually if they answer those and they tick the right boxes, they're going to be a good fit for our program. In the gym, we've changed this up where you have to come in for a free trial into our gym, and then we will get you on a sales call. If you survive my gym, you're a good fit. Okay. But a lot of the times we would sell people into a 6-week program, 12-week program. They weren't a good fit. And then we'd actually have to refund them because they just literally couldn't handle it. Okay. So we pre-qualify them with a training session now. In Success School, we pre-qualify them with a form. But if you get through and you realize that they're not a good fit for you, you need to kindly say that on the sales call. Okay. So, you're going through, you get the goals, you get the roadblocks, you get the problems, and then you're like, cool, I don't think this is going to work for you. I just think there's an incongruency and this is not going to fit. I would strongly suggest you check out X. Okay, who is going to be a better fit for you, or they're going to be a better fit, and that's a gym, and that's a business coach, or that's whatever that is. But refer them to someone else. Referring to other people in your industry is also a powerful thing for networking, and they really appreciate it. Okay, I don't really think there's a such thing as competition either. I think handing your competition clients or leads is actually a good thing because there is a lot of people out there for you to work with independently, and there's plenty of people out there that you guys can work with. I just think there are better fits for other people.
Totally. Pretty much all of my best friends are business coaches or coaches. And so, we refer each other clients all the time because they're just not right for us right now. I would also say here that, if you get someone and they're not the right fit and you need to let them go, we have literally had people beg us that we've said they're not the right fit. Like I've literally had e-commerce clients, like prospects come on the call and be like, Steph, you are my coach. I just know you are. I just want to be in this program. You've got to let me in. And we've still said no, because as much as they've convinced themselves of that, we know for sure that 3 to 6 months into our program, they're going to check out. They're going to be disappointed. They're not going to get what they need. And that just doesn't sit in integrity for us. So please make sure that, if someone's not right, do them the courtesy of saying, look, these are the reasons why it's not right. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste your money. Here's the best next right step for you.
So we're going to move on to point 3, and I'm going to let Steph riff on this because she is the queen of this. So it is about nailing the transition and making them an offer. Steph, I have hyped you up here. The runway is yours.
So I think where a lot of people come unstuck is like the first part of the call is all about like asking those questions, like what are your goals, what are your problems, like how are you today, what have you tried so far, like, you know, it's very rapport building. It's very easy to ask people questions and get them talking about themselves. Where the sale will most likely fall over is when you have to transition from those questions through to actually selling your offer. Okay, that's where most people start to choke up. They get a bit like red in the face. They start flushing. They start getting sweaty palms. They're all M&M, mum spaghetti.
Knees weak, arms are heavy. Vomit on the sweater already. Mom spaghetti.
Wow.
I know the words. Don't make me sing Superman.
I need to get back onto this so he stops. No. But a lot of people break rapport when they actually go to sell. And it's mostly because of the first thing is you freak out about asking for money. Okay. So you're like, oh my God, that's right. I've just gone from having an awesome conversation with this person to now I really hope they buy my stuff. Okay. The best way to do this is to reiterate what they've already told you. Okay. So the best way to connect those questions, the stuff they've already told you, and start to link it back to the offer is to say something like, so you've mentioned your goal is that you want to hit $10,000 months, but you're struggling to get there because you're working one-to-one and you're at capacity right now. So far you've tried, you know, a group coaching program, but it didn't sell out. It hasn't worked for you so far. Is that about right? And they're going to say, yeah, that's about right. Like that's what's going on for me. Cool. So what you've just shown and demonstrated in that conversation is that you've listened the whole way through the first half of the conversation, which is like 20 minutes, that you know what their problem is, that you have listened to what they've tried. Then the next part you're going to go into is go, awesome, let me show you how I can help and how it's different to what you've tried before. Okay. It's so simple. So you reiterate what they say and then say, awesome, let me show you how what I've got is different and how it's going to help you to get to your goal, okay? And then you lead into your sell. So how might this sound for a gym?
Okay, so the fourth point here, guys, is we want to ask for the sale. So hope is not a strategy in sales. You need to actually ask for the sale. So what you're going to do is you're going to present your investment options, and then you're going to say, how does that sit for you? And then you want to stay dead quiet and you want to stare at them. Okay, this is a sales tactic. And you want to stare at them and not say anything. And if the silence is for minutes, you sit there for minutes and look at them dead in the eye. The person that breaks rapport first will lose here. Okay, so this is almost like a chicken game. Okay, an air chicken or a staring chicken. And I'm staring at the camera as I'm saying this because I really want you guys to get the point. So either they're going to say yes or it's a no, and it's going to be an objection. Okay, and the objection usually is going to be time or money, or a combination of both, or I need to ask my partner, okay? So in fitness, commonly what we say in the pre-qualification is there's someone else that's involved in the decision here, and we would invite them into the sales conversation. Therefore, you defeat that objection already. There's a little hack there. The time or money one is usually you can defeat with an analogy, okay? Or you can get past with an analogy. So it's not the right time. Could be defeated with, well, like when you're preparing for a fight, are you going to prepare 6 months out or are you going to prepare the day before? Okay. The money one, a couple of easy objections here are, you know, I can't afford it. It's like, okay, so how much can you afford? And then they're going to give you a price. And then you can obviously start haggling on that price. The other one is like, you know, are you not worth investing in yourself? Okay. Another one is, well, you know, if they're like, cool, I don't want to spend $50 a week. We're like, all right, cool. So do you eat out? And they're going to say, yeah, I eat out. Cool. How many times a week? Then they're going to say 4 times a week. They're going to say, cool. So maybe you spend $30 every time and that's 4 times, that's 120 a week. Cool. So what about if you didn't eat out twice a week? Okay, then you could pay for this gym membership. So you've got a couple of different objections that you can handle there. You just need to get creative and prepare the objections before they come up. Okay, a lot of really good closers or salespeople, that's probably not where you guys are at, but they will defeat the objections in the presentation. It's probably going to be a little bit much for now, but you know, if someone has a time objection, a money objection, or I need to check with someone objection, then you need to have the objections pre-handled or prepared to handle at the end of the sales conversation.
The best place to handle an objection is in the moment. It's on the call, is in the sales console. And I think a lot of people are too scared to actually ask for the sales because the only way that you're going to get the objection is if you actually ask for the sale. So if you actually go, hey, how does that fit for you? How does that sound? You've actually gone through the pricing. You've actually gone through the offer. You've actually said, hey, So you in, let's do this. And then you're going to get the objection, okay? The best place to handle it is then and there. What a lot of people do, because they're avoiding rejection, so they don't want to get the no, right? Is that they are like, cool, well, I'll just send you some info after this and then you can just have a think about it and let me know. And then what happens is that either they ghost you because they CBF giving you the objection, or you follow up a couple of days later, they eventually come back, they give you a smokescreen objection, you try to fight it in an email, it's too hard, it doesn't work, you lose the sale. Okay, so guys, the best place to handle the objection is on the call, is in the consult. The only way to get that objection is to actually ask for the damn sale, okay? And once you've asked directly, you're either going to get a hell yes or I need to think about it, and then you're able to actually go into objection handling.
I've actually got 2 other awesome sales closing stories. So I went to sign up to a mastermind and a friend of mine, Ken, was the salesperson. So we went through this elaborate sales process, and at the end, he didn't say anything besides, will that be Visa or MasterCard? And then he just sat there and stared at me. And I was like, is this the close? Like, is he trying to sell me here? He just said, is that Visa or MasterCard? And I said Visa, gave him my Visa card, and that was done.
Yeah.
I was $15,000 poorer.
Yeah. But we stayed with him for 2 years. Yeah. Just by the way, it was a great investment for us.
And the second one, this is so funny. Steph messaged Grant Cardone and his team, and this is actually titled about Grant Cardone. And it was for a couples cruise, and Steph was, I don't know, maybe lonely at the time.
Hell bent on going on this couples cruise with Grant Cardone and Elena Cardone. Yep.
So, yeah, we got in a sell by chat or a DM chat with them on Instagram, and then it went to WhatsApp, and then it went to email, and then it went everywhere. And, you know, this girl was trying to call Steph off the hook. And then eventually she just sent an invoice for $85,000 to our email address.
To be clear, this didn't go on for very long. It went on for like 2 hours, and then she just dropped me. She didn't even ask us out. So what happened was, like, in the post, you like said like, hey, I'm interested. And then she was like, cool. She messaged me. She was like, what's your number? And I was like, here's my number. And then she was like, 6. So she added me into WhatsApp, and then she was like, awesome. So here's the dates. Here's the info. What's your email? And I gave her my email, and then literally straight away she just dropped me an invoice for $85,000 US dollars. I was like, whoa, this is like such an, like, just go, just do it.
Steph was like, should we go? And I was like, babe, like, just calm down. Like, 85K US is not like a small amount.
I was so hyped. I was like, let's go, let's do it.
And I was like, let's talk about, like, what if we get pregnant? What if we do all the things? Like, we're, you know, like 80, that's like 140,000 AUD for a cruise.
Yeah. And then she came back with like a payment plan option. I was like, let's do it. So we didn't do it, by the way. But what I loved about it was just the sass on it. I loved the way they just dropped the invoice. I loved the way they were like, you are going to miss out on this. You're so crazy. And so I think that that's a really important takeaway on this part, is that, you know, a lot of the time we forget that we are actually the prize. And I think a lot of people sell like their customer is the prize. Like, you get onto the sales call and you're so nervous because you really want to land the sale, and you forget that they need you. They got on a call because they have a problem that you can solve, and they cannot get the outcome without your help. And if they do go somewhere else, they might have a really crappy experience that, you know, if you look at your industry, I'm sure you can see there's plenty of crappy operators out there. So you're doing them a disservice if you don't genuinely believe that you are the prize and that they are so lucky to get on a call with you and with your company and to have access to your offer, and for you to actually say yes to them and not just them saying yes to you. And if you get on with that mentality every time, it's going to change the way that you sell, like Grant Cardone, completely, to be like, man, you're so lucky to come on this $85,000 cruise. Like, I can't believe that's just for 2 people. Like, it was just so crazy, and I loved the audacity of it.
So, Steph, I know you talk about this all the time with especially your female clients, but give us our 5th point on money mindset.
If you don't believe in what you are selling, you will not sell it. Okay, so if you do not believe without a shadow of a doubt that you are phenomenal, that it is exceptional, that it will change someone's life, it will be incredibly hard for you to sell, and it will be very hard for you to sell it consistently. If you believe that you are selling somebody and not helping them, you will not confidently sell. So if you believe that what you're doing is just making money versus actually, I've created this thing and I've spent all these years and all this time crafting this thing so that I can actually help you get this result, and you focus only on the dollar figure, you will not confidently make the sale, okay? You have to deeply believe in the fact that you are actually helping people and focus less on the money. If you look at every single person you get on a call like a dollar sign, it's going to dramatically reduce your ability to make that sale. Get on on the call, talk to that person like they're a human, ask them questions, like feel their problems, connect with them, have empathy, and then be like, look, I don't want you to feel this way. Let me help you. I've got this offer. How can I make it a heck yes? What does it need to look like to get you into this program? I want to change your life. And if you go in with that energy, I can guarantee you your conversion rate is going to skyrocket. Awesome. Guys, we are going to go into our listener questions. Tim, I'm going to hit you up first. So Rachel Short has asked, I am hitting a few nerves in my industry lately. Do I keep going or do I scale back? Oh, this is such a good question for you.
Rachel, never scale back. Always ramp up. Okay, so if you're hitting a nerve, that means you're doing the right thing. So I would amplify that, 10x that shit, pour some gasoline on it, light that bitch on fire, like go harder. Okay, because you want to be known in your industry. You'd rather be known than not known. People that are not known don't get anywhere, they don't make any money, and they don't have any impact. Okay, so think about in the last couple of years, some of the most famous people in the world have hit a nerve on a lot of different topics, and they have gone viral and famous for it. In turn, they have gained a lot of popularity, okay? So it's about being known, and you'd rather be the black sheep than the white sheep like everyone else. So my advice for this one is turn that shit up.
Yeah, and I would totally agree. And I also just think as long as you can stand behind what you're saying and you fully back it in, then sister, just go all in, 100%.
Question 2 from I. How did you pick your current coach, and why did you both sign up instead of just one of you?
That's a really great question. I think this is probably our most adult coach pick that we've had so far.
We've had some bad ones.
I want to be really clear on that. We have had some bad ones, but that's been our own fault.
Yeah.
And so because I think a lot of people think that like there are bad coaches out there, and then, you know, everyone's like plays the victim, like they were so bad and blah, blah, blah. But like if we pick someone who's not right for us, that is 100% our fault. Like we didn't do our research. Usually what happens is you buy when you're scarce and you are desperate to find a solution to the problem, and you just pick the first person that offers you a life raft, right? And so if you buy in that state, that is your responsibility. And we have made those purchasing decisions before. And so therefore we have had coaches that were, I would say, not necessarily bad, but very unaligned for us, not the kind of coaches that we would usually work with. This coach, we actually didn't need a coach at all. We were not looking for a coach. We weren't interested in hiring a coach. And then someone made a recommendation to us and said, you would love it. We were over dinner at a friend's house one night. And they said, you would love this person. He's done all these amazing things. I think there's some stuff that you could learn from him. So we went and did some research. We booked a call. The only way that you can get into this guy's coaching world is to have an introduction or a referral effectively. You can't apply to work with him as a coach. And so we had, an introduction, we got on a call with him, and we just made it from a very abundant choice that like this man has, the same values as us first and foremost. Like he has kids, he doesn't work all the time. He's scaled incredible businesses to 8 figures. He's got a huge property portfolio, and, he's got a lot of different marketing businesses. He does marketing the way that we love to do marketing. Like there's a lot of really good stuff in there that was really aligned. And so for us, it just felt like the right next step to have him in our corner. And the reason that we both did it was because we both work in this business, and there's not, even though Tim's the CEO and I'm, more in the marketing and kind of coaching space probably, it's really about like we make all of our business decisions together. We run this business together. And so it makes sense for us to be on the calls together to divide and conquer what is given to us on those calls and to action them accordingly.
Yeah, Steph and I are very different, which is a good thing. So we'll get on the same call, watch the same training, watch the same video series, go to the same movie, and we get 2 totally different perspectives on it, okay? And we get totally different things out of it. So, Steph and I will be on a coaching call, we'll ask a question, and we'll hear an answer being said 2 different ways, okay? Which is incredible because it gives you far more perspective on the answer. And we remember things differently as well. So it's actually really strange hearing your perspective on things, because I'm like, man, I did not get anywhere near that, completely off the boil. So Steph and I have been watching trainings at night lately, and it's been crazy the different stuff that we get from
We have a little debrief after every session with our coach, and Tim's like, cool, so what did you get from that? And I was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And Tim's like, what, really? And it's cool. It's like, it's awesome. And because we're filtering for information that's relevant to our role in the company as well. So, Tim's definitely more strategic, more structured, definitely more on the marketing side of things. Whereas I definitely am more in the empathetic, the messaging, the feelings, like the coaching, And so because of that, we pick up different energies and different things. And so it really does change the way, and we take both those perspectives and we drive forward in the business, and it's really cool. It's also really cool to be coached by someone as a couple, because questions come up.
Different dynamic, yeah.
Yeah, questions come up and sometimes I answer them and then we're able to have a discussion about them in front of the coach and we kind of come to a new realization and he's able to put his input in to what he sees and that's so helpful for us like as a couple because we can't see outside of ourselves, of course. So yeah, it's been phenomenal for us.
I think signing up with a coach can be a little bit of a treacherous time. So I would just encourage anyone, if you're thinking about signing up with any coach in any realm, to do your homework, okay? Do they have the results that you want? Do they live the lifestyle that you want? Do they portray the same values that you have? And really like shit test that, okay?
Yeah.
So like really go deep on this, okay? So if they said they were a business coach, look at their businesses, okay? Find out what they were, see if they did well, talk to some of their customers, like go really deep. Do not gloss over this stuff, guys, because this is where you get burnt, okay?
I actually want to touch on this really quickly. I remember we went to an event once and there was someone speaking on stage and she was like, I'll get you into Forbes. And I remember thinking, oh yeah, that'd be great. Like I'd love to go in Forbes. And she had a couple of testimonials just in her presentation. And she had a name of one of the girls of her testimonials. It was a really big investment. And I really didn't have the money at the time to pay for this investment. And I went and messaged the girl that was on the presentation. And I said, hey, this person said that she got you this result. I'd love to know, like, you know, how did you find working with her? And she was like, I never worked with that person in my life. Like, she was like, that person's completely lying about this. And she was like, I did this one tiny thing with her, but there's absolutely no way that she's like, I got myself into Forbes. And it was crazy to think that someone like do your research, like just please do your research. Obviously I did not sign up with that person, but please do your research because people are shady and they do shady stuff. Like you could literally message any of our clients and they would tell you about Success School and we'd be so fine for you to do that. Because we want you to have, you know, to know 110% that it's not just what we're saying on our, anyone can sell these days. And so it's really important to do your research.
And if it is negative, guys, and, you know, Steph and I will cop that on the chin and we'll get better with that. But like, we're not, you know, by any means trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes with what we do. Like what we post is what it is, you know? So check us out, like do your research, you know, do that for any coach. And just the last one, guys, it's like same with, you know, if you want to get better relationships and you want to see a relationships coach, make sure they have a great relationship. If you want to get financial advice and you go see a financial expert, make sure they're rich. Just really simple stuff. Like the number one is, do they have the thing that you want?
Love that.
All right, guys, it was an amazing episode. If you got any sort of value from this, don't forget to subscribe and follow the show on whatever platform that is. If this is Spotify, Apple, or even YouTube, if you're one of the 58 subscribers on there, we do appreciate that. Follow the show as our number one metric on how we rate our success. We do appreciate it if you take the time to do that.
And thanks for those who are watching at home. It's so nice to know that you guys are watching us. But we will see you guys next week. Thanks for jumping in.
Thanks, guys.